Cool Hand Podcast, something you got to deal with. Welcome back to the show. I'm your host. My name is Q. This is the Cool Hand Podcast. We have another interviewee in the building, uh, coming out of the DMV. Guest,
You,
please introduce yourself.
what's up, everybody? My name is Jeff. Some people know me as the Times. Um, if you if you've known me for a while, you know me as DJ F. And if you really know me, you call me DJ Jazzy Jeff, and then I get mad at you.
Oh, I didn't even make the connection.
Yeah.
DJ Jazzy Jeff. So you don't like that name?
I'm not crazy about it, just because I respect the guy a lot, and I'm like, I'm
Yeah.
not as good as him, but you know, I
Yeah.
respect it.
Yeah, I didn't know how much of an impact DJ Jazzy Jeff has had on the hip hop or just DJing in general. I interviewed one of my homies, Charlie, and he's a real hip hop head, and he talked about DJ Jazzy Jeff, and I'm like, I knew he's an old school hip hop cat, worked with Will Smith, but I didn't know he was like this important and this popping. So that's an interesting
Yeah,
fact.
he's done a lot for the culture, and that's the thing. A lot of people just kind of know him from Fresh Prince, but
Mm-hmm.
I remember even me, like I remember him first from Fresh Prince, and then I found out he was an actual DJ, and I was like, oh, he's like actually a big deal. Like he was a DJ before Fresh Prince, obviously. So that was kind of news to me, but this was years ago when I was young and my.
Hold on, I think we lost audio for a second.
Oh no.
Oh no, you're good. You good. You're good.
Okay.
I don't know what happened, but for a second I didn't hear you when you said something.
I think my internet connection down here is sometimes spotty, so hopefully that
Gotcha.
doesn't kill us too much.
Oh, that's okay. You know what? The one that I dropped today, the episode that I dropped today, um, the person I interviewed was in another part of Pennsylvania, and it was rough. The internet thing, we were lagging. Like I
Ooh.
asked them a question, and then it's like the news, like a 5 second delay.
Sitting there nodding your head.
Yeah, it was one of those deals, but it's like it was a new hurdle that I learned that okay, this might happen when we do these Zoom interviews, so be prepared. It just makes me have to step my editing skills up, which is virtually none.
Yeah.
But this ain't about me.
Yeah.
Jeff, aka the Times, DJ out of the DMV. What part of the DMV are you from?
So right now I live in Central Maryland, not too far from Columbia. I'm in Ellicott City, but it's nice smack in the middle. It's like 25 minutes from Baltimore City, and about like 45 from DC with no traffic. But that doesn't actually happen, so probably like an hour. But actually, I'm not from the DMV, man. I'm from Connecticut, so
Okay.
I gotta give my props to Connecticut, because that's a lot of people, every time they hear that, they're like, Connecticut, what's to do there? And I'm like, a lot. Like go to New York, go to Boston,
Mhm.
do other stuff besides being Connecticut. No, I love Connecticut. It's a cool place.
All right, so shout out to Connecticut first of all. Shout out to UConn. Shout out to Kimball Walker. Uh,
They,
I,
Maya Moore,
Maya Moore. See you're
we've
up
got a
on game.
we've got a lot of college basketball championships, man. So you know, Connecticut's.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was gonna say Connecticut's. You can't sneeze at us. But what were you gonna say?
No, I forget who was the head coach of UConn. Wasn't Jim Calhoun?
Yeah, Jim Calhoun and Gino Ariama for the women's team.
You know your stuff. He's from
You got him, man. We don't have anything else.
he's
That's
from
all we
Connecticut
got.
for real.
That's all we got. Don't ask me who UMD's coach is. I have no idea.
Oh yeah, I don't know either. I know Steve Francis went to Maryland, and that's the only person I know from Maryland
There's
college.
there's other people too, but I can't remember.
Yeah, I wouldn't know. But you know what? For those who only have probably about 3 or 4 loyal listeners, like loyal, like ones who will listen to on a
Every
consistent basis.
yeah.
So for those listening, uh, Jeff was featured on an episode before, uncredited appearance. Uh, when I interviewed DJ Not Your Average Joe, shout out to Josias, Jeff was with him. Uh, and he contributed to some of the interview talking about go-go music which we'll probably touch on today since you're
Okay.
located in that DMV area. So welcome back to the show in a sense. I'm glad
Appreciate it.
that we're getting a chance to do this. So back to you. You're from Connecticut, but you're in the DMV area. Now, when did you get to the DMV area?
I moved here in 2017, early 2017. I think it was June 2000, or late May, early June 2017. It's been
Oh,
cool so
okay.
far.
Okay, so you're really, really from Connecticut. It wasn't like I
Yeah,
was
yeah.
born there and raised in the DMV.
No, no, yeah, yeah. The
Okay.
DMV is new. You know, DMV tries to claim me, and then like the Connecticut part of me is like, don't give it up.
That's not happening. So, what was life like growing up in Connecticut?
Um, it's pretty chill. Connecticut's basically all suburbs. There's a couple like bigger cities. I wouldn't call them major because most people don't know. But there's bigger cities. So, like I said, kind of poke fun. A lot of what you do is like if you're really trying to look for something to do, you might go into the city. I always had friends in the city. The Bronx is only 30 minutes away from where I lived. So it's you can literally just make moves in New York real easy. No big deal. So, but aside from that, I mean, it's real. Connecticut's diverse, a lot more diverse than I think people think it is. It's still predominantly white. I think people can tell that by the way I talk, but but
We ain't gonna do you like that. We ain't gonna do you like that.
no, man, in my hall, somebody asked me, he was like, "Where are you from originally?" And I was like, "Oh, Connecticut." And then he was like, "Oh, because you sound real educated." And then I was like, "Just say white, dog. Just say white. It's okay. It's okay." No, but yeah, there's a lot of white people, but then there's also like we have a lot of like Puerto Ricans, Dominicans, Central Americans,
Okay.
and then a lot of black people too. Especially where I grew up was a very diverse city. It was a lot of like I would say equally. No, I'd say probably like 50% white, and then like 30% black, 20% Spanish. Stuff like that. So pretty diverse.
Okay, this is good information. This puts a ripple in some of my questions.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna make some adjustments. So
I like it.
uh what did you guys do for fun growing up? What did you do creatively? Let me be more specific.
Ooh, creatively fun. So my mom was always into music, but like my mom was always into like more classical stuff. So I grew up, a lot of people talk about their memories, their parents listening to like Marvin Gaye or Cheryl Lynn. I grew up with Yanni, who is like a
Yanni.
pianist. That a lot of people don't know. He's like this really like suave looking guy with super super long hair. But he would put on these like piano concerts, and he would have um like literally like stacks of pianos around him. And I used to pretend I would just like pretend I was Yanni, that so that we did that for fun. We did a lot of normal kid stuff, riding bikes. Um, but as far as like creative, we've always kind of had art in my family. My one of my sisters was an art teacher in school, and she still paints. She actually this painting right here, this is done by her.
Oh,
She actually
nice.
my whole area is all brought to you in part by her artwork. So I've got a lot of it hanging. And then the next sister, I have three older sisters. The next sister, she was really good at drawing, photography as well. So always kind of done like visual, and I was a little bit more on the musical side. I kind of did the most musical training because I played growing up. I played the cello all
Okay.
throughout from like 7 to 18. I still play it, but yeah, that was mostly the most I would play it.
All right. Shout out to the strings.
Yeah, man, you gotta.
Now, at what point did your own musical taste start to form?
My own musical. I would say so. I remember in fifth grade liking, like wanting to like hip hop. Like I really was like into it, but mostly because my parents were like, no. don't listen to hip hop. You know, so I was like, I remember like I think I was in fifth grade when like In the Club 50 Cent came out. So like when that beat came out, I'm like, and I like I wanted to be into it, but it was funny because my sisters were really like into music, and they were actually into like a lot of alternative rock, like the Killers, Coldplay. Um, so like I would always be listening to that stuff, but I wanted to listen to hip hop. But then once I finally kind of started listening to hip hop in like seventh grade, I was a Dipset head, man. I loved me because I thought they were so cool. I was like, yeah, man, Dipset. All the time in school. But then I don't know, something happened like end of seventh grade, eighth grade. I kind of just started like kind of really just listening to all more kinds of music,
Mhm.
widening out, and then being like, yo, like yeah, I remember at end of middle school, I started getting into like techno and house because it was hot. And then so I think even from then I'd say like end of middle school I really just kind of started listening to whatever. If the beat was good, if it was groovy and it was punching, I would rock to it.
All right. So you got onto to different forms of music pretty early, which is a good thing. And what are you sipping on, by the way?
Oh, this
What?
is this is Josh Pinot Noir. It's a nice real inexpensive bottle of good wine. But I apologize if I'm stumbling anybody for drinking wine, but it is Friday. I don't know when this is going to be released, but it's Friday. It's after work.
It's but you know what? Check this out. Sunday, I got to plan my drinking out. I got to plan it around like, Sunday, preferably Saturday, but we'll just do Sunday. We're going to have nachos. We are
Okay,
making nachos and we are drinking tequila with those nachos. So
have to.
uh I would have some a drink with you, but you know what? I worked out this morning, so I just got to keep it all, you know,
See, I respect it. That's why I'll never have a six pack. That's why I'll never have a six pack because it's milkshakes, it's chocolate chip cookies, it's ice cream and alcohol. That's it. It's only four things that like, and I don't have them all the time, but I think I have
Mhm.
them just enough, to kind of to mess up any progress I make.
Well, for me, it's flaming hot Cheetos. That is,
Ooh, those are
yeah.
good.
But anyway, so you formed your own take. I love flaming hot Cheetos. I love them, but
Wait, I was gonna say something for your tequilas, man. What you gotta do is a really good, really simple margarita recipe. Is you get some of that frozen limeade at
Mhm.
the grocery store. It comes in like the canisters. Then you get a Corona and tequila and Seven Up.
Mm.
That's it. Equal parts of those. So the limeade packet, you count that as one, and then the amount of Corona, that's one, and then you take tequila, put it in the Corona bottle to measure. That's the easiest way I do it. That's one, and then same thing, Seven Up in the Corona bottle to measure. Pour it in there. That's one. It's a margarita, man. It's banging. It's
I,
banging.
See, I'm not a big drink mixer. Like I'm young in the game. I'm 26 and I still don't drink like that. I like at this point I'm just like collecting bottles just so it
Okay.
like looks nice. But
That's what you got to do that too.
on you go to somebody's house and they have all these bottles all set up all nice. I'm like, I want to be like that. And like we have a bunch of unopened bottles, but you know what? I'm interviewing a bartender soon, so
Okay.
hopefully after this I can throw some stuff together. But I'm gonna remember that. Thank you.
You should have them do like mix it up on your show. I think that'd be sick.
That's what I was contemplating. That's exactly what I was contemplating. Um, oh man, shout out to the times. Now, your taste formed. You were listening to various different music genres. So let's talk about that and getting into DJing. When did this start? When did the attraction to being a DJ start?
Okay, so the attraction to being a DJ started around, I'd say, again around fifth grade. So I guess fifth grade is when I started to become musically liberated. Um, but so there was I'm half Haitian, so we would have these congregation parties, and it was Haitian music. If you don't know about Haitian music, all you probably know is the songs are really long. It's slow. It's not fun. And I was like that. I was like, oh, I don't want to go to a congregation party. All they're gonna do is play Haitian music.
Hmm.
Um, and part of the reason I really disliked it was because it was the same brother in the hall who would always DJ. He had the PA system, so his speakers were bumping, but he wouldn't mix. He would literally just take out the song, the song would end, pop out the CD, and all of this time there's no music playing. Pop out the CD, put in another CD, select the song, and then the next song starts. So, and I just knew that was wrong. Like, it's not like I was going clubbing and I was like, oh my god, a fifth grader going to the club, being like,
Yeah.
why can't you be like a DJ? Is I just knew it was wrong. Something in me knew, like, that was the one complaint that everybody had. Everybody was like, yo, the songs, there's always a pause. So I felt like just that was starting to bubble in me. And then in seventh grade, there was a kid in my class, um, Jada Korea, that was his name. But we were talking about kind of DJing, and I was like, yeah, I would love to, like, I would literally just always be like, wicked, wicked, oh, I would always like wanted to kind of do that. And then he was like, oh, you should get this computer program called Virtual DJ. He actually gave me like 4. He was like, they all got like 30-day trials. So between the 4, I was going to be good for a couple months.
Yeah.
And so I went and I was downloading, this DJ software, just using the same like 4 CDs that my sisters owned that I actually liked. It was Sean Paul, Sierra Goodies, Chris Brown's first album, and that was it. Man, I made like at least 10 different mixes with just songs off of those 3 CDs. But yeah, and then so I got the software, and basically for a while, I'd say until like high school, from 7th grade to high school, so really only 2 years, but I just basically sat there and I learned how to mix. That was all I was working on. I was learning how to beat match. I would read books, I would watch videos. I was like really trying to learn how to mix. And so just kind of working on that craft, even though it was on a computer screen, so it was significantly more difficult. But then what happened was I had a sister in one of the neighbor halls. She worked for a DJ, and she was like, oh, I told him that you're starting to DJ, and I was like, and I'm the type, I'll just ask for stuff. So I was like, you should ask him if he has turntables he wants to give away. And then so she did, and he did, but I bugged this guy for like maybe 8 months, being like, hey, did you ask your boss if he can pick up those turntables? And I still remember her bringing me the turntables finally. I was just like, my life is about to change, yo. I was like, this is amazing. So I had turntables, I had a mixer. I still have the first mixer he gave me. Still have the first turntable, actually. And it's a piece of junk, but I've kept it.
Hmm.
But so I went, and really I couldn't do much because I didn't have records. So I had to start buying records. They were really junk turntables. They're belt drive turntables. So it's not like you can scratch well on them or anything. It's hard to mix. Everything was just awful, but I still was giving it a try. And then finally, when I was like 14, 15, I went and I bought some CD player turntables so I could actually, like, because I was already burning CDs, so I could cut some CDs, put them in there, and actually start to mix with my physical hands. And it really just took off from there, just because by that time I'd already learned like how to beat match and mix from song to song. So now it's just a matter of kind of applying that skill, and then hopefully starting to do parties and all that.
Okay. That's good stuff. See, I was wondering, I was gonna ask, do you remember your first piece of equipment?
Yeah,
So it was
the
from that radio DJ guy.
Yeah,
Okay.
the turntables. Yep.
Okay. Interesting. And that's something else I wanted to get into too. What type of DJing do you currently do, or what all can you do as a DJ?
Yeah. Okay. I like that question a lot. There's what all I can do as a DJ. There are different styles of DJing. There's like scratch DJs where really they focus on there's like a single beat playing and they're just scratching. There's like open format, which is kind of, just playing whatever will get people dancing. I'd say what I do kind of more falls into that open format. But I've always like appreciated tasteful scratching, the type of scratching they do on the radio. Cause it's not too much, but it's enough to kind of just like, there's a certain musicality to it. If you do it right, you kind of are making your own music. Um, and then so I'd say just kind of mixing, but there's also like controllerism, which is kind of more new. It's like DJs will get like kind of like an MPC pad, and they'll do a lot of
Mm.
different types of like transformations to the music. So they might like play with the pitch and kind of like affect one sample of the music and kind of chop up their own beat. So there's, I won't say DJing is as like broad as other musical instruments, but there's like certain aspects, there's like different types of aspects of it that you can kind of go down and you can really get good at. Like also like making remixes, like making your own kind of like little tiny like um what I kind of tried to do for a while was like you take a regular song and kind of add a little bit more of a beat to it. So you kind of give it like maybe like a reggaeton or a reggae beat and kind of just like or a dance hall rather, and then kind of just make it have a little different groove. That way you can play it at parties. So there's a lot of like kind of different things you can do. But for me, the most part is just kind of open format, get people on the floor, have people have as much fun as possible.
Open format. You aim to please. You aim to please, and you do
Yes.
you do make mixes too.
I do. Yeah, I have a SoundCloud. I have a Mixcloud. So every once in a while, I put out like a formalized mix. Like I'll have songs in my head and kind of like craft it and take like a week. Get like 30 songs and then figure out which ones I'm gonna play and then kind of see which ones mix the best together. But then I also have like a Mixcloud profile where I go and I just record every event I do. I record the event,
Okay.
um, and then I go and I post them on that. That way, the person who's buying the service from me has a keepsake from that. But then also, so I can go back and I listen to my mixes and I relive the night and kind of determine what I can do to get better from there.
Oh wow, you're a student of the game. If it wasn't apparent enough, like you talking about how you got into it early in the game and you were reading and doing this and that, because I can tell you, I know for a fact, it's not even an opinion. Just like anything else, getting into a new craft, a new hobby, and DJing, that has to be just looking at it sometimes, just scratching. I know you can mess a record up if you scratch wrong. So you're a
Yeah,
real student of the game.
appreciate it, man. Try to be.
Oh yeah. So, and by the way, now I asked Jeff. I said, "Hey, you got a website or something? Um, just something that I can, get a better understanding of his style and things like that." And he sent me some mixes from SoundCloud. So I listened to two of them. I think they were the first two, maybe. So they're older. They were
Yeah.
the one from 2016 and the one
Ooh.
from 2017.
Okay.
No, but you have this uneasy
As
face.
I'm like, I don't know how good I was back then. I feel like I try to get better all the time. So, but
No, I enjoyed both of those. I was actually getting my car serviced yesterday. I needed an oil change and tires rotated. So, even though it's a simple thing that I'm getting done, you'd be sitting there for, hour and a half.
yeah,
So, I was just listening to those and I'm like, "Oh man, like there's some island music, like a lot of island and, feel good type stuff on there on the two mixes that I listened to, and I really enjoyed them." I don't listen to a lot of island music, so that was in a sense like a real introduction for me. I don't consider Drake island music, by the way, so
yeah.
that's not an introduction.
Yeah. No, yeah, that's so again, like I said, my mom is Haitian, and I feel like we're close enough to a lot of the islands that I just kind of have that. I love throwing island music in. I apologize if you hear my dog barking in the background.
That's okay.
She's going nuts. No, yeah, so yeah, as far as island music goes, I've always kind of can't help myself. Like I always find myself, even when I'm mixing live, like in an area where people I know don't bump to island music.
Hmm.
Like I'll see an island song in my crates, and I'm just like, oh, I just wish I could play this because this song hits, you know. So I don't know what it is, but just island music just it just gets me going. It just gets me dancing. It makes me want to move.
I was jigging to him. I was sitting there. I was tired too. Like,
Yeah,
like I was tired, but like I'm thinking I wasn't gonna move in public. But I'm like, this is some good stuff. I don't understand how when you hear that island music, the beat, the whole vibe, the mood. I don't know how you couldn't move. At least do a little sway. Like I don't know how you
yeah,
can't even sway. Um,
yeah.
so speaking of which, I heard the island music firsthand. I never got to see you DJ. You were supposed to DJ at DJ Not Your Average Joe, aka Josiah's wedding. Shout out to Josiah, shout out to Nelly. But COVID-19 said not today.
Nope, no sir.
Um,
Yeah.
so that would have been my first time seeing you in action for real. Like, you have Instagram videos and clips. So go ahead. Sorry.
So for that, what happened was I wasn't gonna DJ, but funny enough, that was gonna be one of the DJs that I look up to myself. He was gonna get DJ Cali, who's a witness DJ, and this guy is this is a guy who DJ Khaled was funny because there was kind of a point, I'd say maybe 2015, 2016, where I kind of started. I had lived in Connecticut, but I was doing gigs in Maryland, and people in PA were kind of like, inquiring for bookings. And then all the time, like they would just drop off. Like I'd be texting them, be like, "Yeah, so this is my price." They'd drop off. I'm like, "What happened?" I'm like, "Hey, so what's going on?" Follow up. They're like, "Oh, we decided to go with DJ Khaled." And I'm like, "Man, who is this guy, man? He better be good." DJ Khaled's amazing. DJ Khaled is, I don't even get mad now when people be like, "Oh, we went with DJ Khaled." I'd be like, "Good. He's a better DJ. He's gonna kill it. You're gonna have an amazing time." So, but yeah, he was gonna do Joe's wedding, so I was gonna be hyped too because I was gonna be on the floor losing my mind.
Okay. All right. Shout out to DJ Cali, man. Shout out
Yeah,
to
man.
DJ Cali. All right. So the point remains that I haven't seen you in action. So when this
Sorry.
no, 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 no. I'm just thinking. I was just giving an example of like, hey, I
Yeah.
was gonna see you in action, but turns out I wasn't after all. So I got to see you in action. Hopefully, I don't think life is gonna ever return back to normal, the way things are. Like what we once knew as normal will be the past. So if there's, my wife and I are always looking for like, a new adventure, especially after, not being able to go out on a date for months and months. So
Yeah.
hopefully, if you ever have a gig again, not to be like a live, like in-person gig,
Yeah.
we would love to come. So
Yeah, that'd be fun. I'll
anyway,
let y'all know. That'd be fun.
yeah, we're close enough on this Eastern hemisphere. Uh,
Exactly.
but so speaking of the island music, what were and you do open format, but when it comes to you doing a set or DJing for a crowd, what are your personal influences, maybe artists, DJs, that influence you to that influence your sound, put it that way?
Okay. Um, so like surprisingly, before a gig starts, like right when it's kind of getting to that time where people are eating, but they're also kind of done eating, and you kind of want to get them, you know, like kind of in the mood. Sometimes a lot like older songs like Carl Thomas, Summer Rain, but Ryan Leslie, he's one of my favorite artists. I usually play a lot of Ryan Leslie in the mix, kind of just throw him in there. Who else influences me? I'd say at times like that, I'll also play some island music if we have if it's a little more up north, closer to New York City. Play some island music, kind of get people swaying. Um, oh, that's a good question. Who influences me? Um, Ryan Leslie, island music, um, anything with like just a good beat. And I know everybody says that, and I think a good example of a song with a good beat is Beyonce's "Before I Let Go." I remember the first time I heard that, I wasn't really sold on it, but I knew I liked it, and I was like, ooh. I was like, I don't know how this song is gonna go over because some people might hate it because they're like, how dare she try to redo a classic? But to me, that's got a good beat because you just can't. A song that you can't help but smile. You just like, oh man, this is my joint.
Can't
Um,
fight it.
you can't fight it, and that's the type of stuff I like. There's like certain sounds that are really like you just can't fight it, and I feel like I gravitate towards those like sounds where it's just like really clean drums and a good groove, a little bit of like kind of swing, so the beat is kind of falling off, but it's staying on. So I feel like those are the types of sounds I usually go back to and kind of get people fired up.
Okay. Um, Ryan Leslie. I followed him on Instagram, then unfollowed. Like I found that following celebrities, I'm like, what benefit do I get out of this? Because they don't. Okay, they're promoting. They always have something to promote. Like he's doing like his
Yeah,
tech stuff now. Because I like Ryan Leslie.
yeah,
I know you're a bigger fan than I am. I'm a casual Ryan Leslie listener, but
yeah.
and I always liked the way he dressed. That was another reason.
He does dress well.
Ryan Leslie could dress. Um, Let me ask you about uh, as you were getting started as a DJ and your journey.
Hold on 1 second. I'm
Do
sorry.
your
Can
thing.
we? Because I'm gonna go and I'm gonna just close the door so you can't hear my dog as much.
It's a cool hand intermission. I am your host. My name is Q. This is the Cool Hand Podcast. We have the Times. We have the Times with us, Jeff, located in the DMV area. He is not from the DMV area. Rather, he is from Connecticut. He does parties. We're going to talk about something called lounge radio in a little bit. And this is my radio voice. So right now he's closing the door so that the dog isn't making too many more ad libs on the episode. Uh, he just came back. So we're going to get back into the Cool Hand Podcast episode with the Times. His headphones are back in. So we're back. All right. I was trying to give like a radio interlude.
Oh, my bad.
So yeah, I said you were closing the door so your dog didn't have as many ad libs on the episode.
I like that. She's trying to get a feature.
All right. So what's your dog's name? Shout out to the dog.
Man, my dog's name is Remy. It's named after Remy Martin. The
The alcohol?
Courvoisier. Yeah, the
Oh,
Courvoisier.
I'm like, which Remy?
Because she's a boozy dog. You know what I'm saying? She drinks with the pinky up.
Shout out to Remy. A lot of ad libs on this episode, and I love it.
I'm gonna tell her.
Now, from your journey, from you first getting started to where you are now, I want to hear about some of the ups and downs, some of the struggles that you had to go through in learning how to DJ, especially spinning records. I know that's difficult. I think even Josias alluded to it being difficult when he was giving his interview. So, can you talk about the ups and downs and the struggles you went through?
Yeah, I'd say so. I came up kind of in when CDs is more CDs versus records. So I know there's always like that kind of beef with like older DJs with like, oh, you ain't have to carry your records to gigs. And I'm like, yeah, and thank God I didn't, because that sounds terrible. And
Right.
I'm glad I don't have to do that. But I have had similar experiences with CDs where your CD will scratch, people jump too much. I've had a gig where, and this was after CDs, but this was using my laptop. I've had a gig where I mean, it was good because everybody was rocking, but my laptop fell off the stand and fell on the ground. Fortunately, the laptop was fine, but the music stopped. I'd say the biggest like down I've had as a DJ was like just being trash. Like when you think you're good because technically you know how to mix, but you don't have that consistency. And that's why I actually record my gigs, because once I started recording my gigs, I heard that I'd say I was like maybe 75% where I'd like to be. And then once I started recording the gigs, I was able to really quickly be like, oh, wow, I'm not as good as I think I am. It's certainly a fun night because people tell you that they're having a fun time. But I wanted to be better for myself. But I've had that's a major down that you have to deal with. Like when you first start DJing, you might be trash for a long time. And when I say trash, it comes in different flavors. There's different flavors of trash. Like you might be really good at mixing, but your song selection is awful. Or your library is just not very big. That's the thing. When I first started, there were years when I was like, I'm gonna run out of music. I'm literally gonna like not have enough songs to play at this party because I've used up a lot of good songs. That used to be a thing when your library is just not big enough. Um, then like not rocking the crowd. Like my first gig ever, I forgot all my power chords. So my heart stopped. My house was 45 minutes away. Forgot all my power chords. My loving sister went back because I didn't even drive. I didn't even drive at this point. So my sister went back, drove 45 minutes back home, and 45 minutes back to get my power chords. And everybody was looking at me like, what kind of trash DJ is this? Like he's here, but the music's not playing.
Yeah.
I've had speakers blow. I've had amps blow at a wedding where like it was so hot that the amplifier blew, so the music went off. Dramatic stuff. I've been booed at. I've had an actual gig, that same gig where my laptop fell off the stand. Somebody had the nerve to be like, boo, and then everybody joined in, and I was like, so I was like, oh my god. So yeah.
I was gonna ask that too. I was expecting you to say no, but I was gonna ask anyway. I was gonna say, have you ever been booed?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. People will say mean things like, who's that DJ or something like awful. But on the other side of it, I've also had moments where they'll be like, go DJ.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, it's really nice. And I would say the high you get from DJing is just like, my favorite part about DJing is when you're building a set, you're working through it, and then something kind of comes to your mind and you go, ooh, instead of playing this one song I had planned, I'm gonna play this next song, and the crowd is gonna go nuts. And when they do, like it's like if you feel this like power just run through your body where you're just like, oh my god, anything I do they'll do. And it feels good. And like even to the point of like I've done mixes before where I've seen somebody literally go, and like that felt amazing. Like that I literally watched somebody have their mind blown. So I feel like those are the ups. Those certainly make up for all the. I forgot I got booed until saying this right now. I was like, shoot, I've been booed. Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful. Like the satisfaction that you get out of it. Now, for someone who maybe they were contemplating being a DJ, whether it's turntables, CDs, or just being a digital DJ, somebody who just has their laptop and some extra, I don't know, all the stuff that you carry around, some extra other stuff to do some other
Some
stuff.
extra buttons and knobs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
buttons, knobs, and that type of stuff. Now, what does it take to be a DJ? What does it take, and what qualities does one need to have to be an efficient DJ?
Ooh. Um, I would say if somebody's trying to be a DJ and they're trying to make money doing it, I would just say take your time to learn the craft, learn how at the very least to be able to mix from song to song well. Um, but then the next thing I would say is like the second you think that you want to be a DJ, start building your music library. And I'm not talking about, I mean, I guess you could use, I think there's like new things where you can like connect to Spotify, but you have to own each like MP3 file that you want to play. That's the only way to like be able to scale out and kind of go. And if you ever need to play on a setup that you've never seen before, you can just take your laptop, no internet, go ahead, do your thing. I would say build your music library. Like, so when you go to a party, every song that the DJ plays that you're not DJing at and you want to become a DJ, every song the DJ plays that the crowd likes, get it. You need it. It needs to be in your arsenal, because you never know when it'll come in handy. Even if you go to like a Latin party, you don't know half the stuff. Watch the crowd's reaction. Shazam. I am a no shame DJ. I Shazam the mess out of other DJ sets because I'm like, I want this. I want to be able to re-emulate what they're doing to the crowd. Same thing with Joe. I've seen him. He'll be right in the booth with me, Shazam and stuff, trying to hide it. And then I'm like, I see you. I see you. And he is no shame. He'll come over and look at my laptop, take a photo of my screen. He's like, what version is this? I'm like, dang it, Joe. Um, so, but and I've done the same thing to him too. Like he'll have a dope remix of a song. I'm like, I need this. So I would say that's the thing. Take the time to learn the skill, the basic skills, and then take the time to build a library. Because when you first DJ and you do your first gig, the first thing everybody's going to ask you, nobody's going to trust you because everybody knows you're new because you don't have that confidence. You don't have the equipment. You don't have the, like they can just tell if you're new. And when you're new and you don't have that reputation, they're going to make so many requests that you are going to be stressed out. And what the worst thing to do is not have any of the music they're requesting. When you're first starting out, you kind of got to just take that L and fulfill a lot of requests until you earn the right to have the creative freedom to kind of do whatever you want with the crowd and the people will trust you. But if you're just trying to start out, learn the skills and then build up the music library. And then the next important thing is once you actually start going out, learn how to read the crowd. And look at people's faces, like not just if people are on the dance floor, but like look at the energy they have. Because sometimes you'll see you're playing a song and people are dancing out of just because they're like, well, I came to a party, so I guess I ought to dance. Cha-Cha Slide. That's a song that people do that to. Nobody actually wants to dance to the Cha-Cha Slide, but they're out there because they feel they need to. So learn to read the crowd, learn what that looks like, and learn how to like just keep the crowd like in awe with you. And it takes a while, but it's definitely possible. Anybody can learn how to do it. It's not that hard to be a good DJ.
All right, how about this? What personality traits do you need to be a DJ? Because what if I come in there, I'm a rookie. All right, I'm a rookie. I already know what I'm gonna play, and they're gonna go crazy for every song that I have, and I'm new. I don't have that much stuff, and they can still tell. Although I'm confident, they're like, "All right, do you have this? Okay, sweetheart, I got this. I have what you need. Don't worry about." And
Ooh,
can you go in there with that attitude? Because it sounds like you have to be flexible.
it's risky. You could go in there with that attitude, and if you don't kill the party, then nobody's gonna like you. Because I'd say the thing is, the type of DJing that like me and Joe do, it's called mobile DJing. So you're a service and you go to where the event is and you do it. It's completely different from radio. It's completely different from like club or anything. Because that stuff you have a lot of leniency. It's like you have the job and you kind of get the freedom to play whatever you want. But as a mobile DJ, you don't have the freedom to play whatever you want. So you have to be, and you most of the time, 9 times out of 10, you're providing a service for somebody that they're paying for. So you have to be a professional person at the end of the day. You have to be somebody that they don't mind doing business with. Nobody wants to go to the grocery store and ask the produce guy, where can I find apples? And he'd be like, I can't believe you need to buy apples. Like nobody wants that. So it's the same thing with DJing. Like if you're going to do it, you have to learn basics of business. So like maybe you don't have the confidence, maybe you don't have the thing, but you at least need to compensate with like your price being really low or like being able to provide other services for them. Because like some DJs will come and their sound system is trash. But maybe they're really good at being a DJ because they've been doing it in their bedroom for a while, but their sound system is trash. So that's one thing that shows that you're not very professional. People are paying for a nice sound system. So you have to pick and choose like what you're going to be good at. But I'd say in general, try to be kind, courteous, understand what the people want. And if you're ever getting overwhelmed, because a lot of times I get overwhelmed with people making requests or whatever, at the end of the day, remember who is cutting that check and do whatever the heck they say. If they tell you, I need you to play this song next, you'd be like, you got it.
Hmm.
So,
You have to be flexible,
yeah,
especially being a mobile DJ. That's what I get out of that.
yes,
All right,
yes.
let's talk business.
Ooh.
Let's talk business. At what point did you realize you were either good enough to start profiting, or you had the inclination to start profiting? How old were you?
So I did my first professional gig when I was 14. So about
Mm.
not too long after I got my CD players, um, I got a gig because there was this one sister. She was about to get married. She was having an engagement party. She was cheap, but she wanted nice things for not a lot of money. Um, but she was willing to pay me to do her engagement party. I did it for $80. I charged $80, and I remember tripping charging 80, thinking maybe I'm charging too much. Oh, they might not want to pay. They ended up giving me $100, and I was like, what? $20 tip? Yo, we going to Taco Bell, or something, something stupid. But I think ever since then, I never really, I would do free gigs, but you had to be like a good friend. It had to be like a congregation thing, because you do have to kind of just like take those gigs. You kind of just have to be like, yeah, you got to eat those um, gigs. But I think once I started like being like, I should not be charging less than $300 for anything. That's when I kind of realized like, okay, I have a good service. Because when I first started, everything I'm saying, I made it's stuff I've experienced. I had trash speakers when I first started, trash amp, so you go and you kind of build up your system. Um, but you can't really expect good payment like um if you don't have the look, the aura. Like, so for instance, one thing that um
Oh man, I thought he was thinking, but it froze. Hold on, if you could hear me, you're completely frozen.
oh dang, we're good
Okay,
now.
you are
Okay,
back. You
what's
said
the
what?
last thing you heard?
Oh, you know what? It says my internet connection is unstable.
Oh
Oh,
no.
oh wow. Okay, is it raining? No, it looks sunny outside. Oh,
It's all good. Oh dang, I'll
oh,
take it from the top, man.
I got ratchet internet. Okay. Wow, y'all going to embarrass me like that while I'm doing my show
uh,
Comcast? Yeah, yeah, free promotion all day.
uh,
All right. Anyway, yeah,
what's the
please.
last
I'm
thing you
sorry.
heard? No, it's all right. What's the last thing you heard?
You were about to say something. You were thinking, and the screen froze at yeah, that's very
Ooh,
vague. Um,
did I say did I talk about sound systems yet? Facades?
yeah, you said everything that you mentioned before is something that you went through.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
around there. Sorry.
Okay. No, it's okay. Yeah, so I've been through, any of the advice I'm trying to give right now, definitely it's stuff I've been through, because I've been that DJ that's had the crappy sound system. Um, from a business perspective, you can't charge that much if you have a crappy sound system. You can try, but people aren't, they're kind of gonna hesitate. And you got to have that look of a DJ. So, like for instance, I started getting more gigs once I got a facade, which is that like kind of thing that DJs will put in front of them that like
Okay.
blocks their setup and they light it up. I started getting more gigs and I was able to charge more money.
Mm,
Like people were just willing to pay for it because you have the look. So it sucks because it's like it's kind of superficial, but it is really important because you're providing a service and you want that service to be top tier and you want the people to feel like they're getting top tier service. So you want your music to be banging and you want your presentation to be banging. Um, so once you have both of those, you can really start to kind of rack in the dough.
hmm I like that. I like that, and that bleeds into another question: how you learned the business and actually marketing yourself. I think what you were talking about, the facade and having the lights and things, that's marketable, the presentation. So business wise, um, if I wanted to if I wanted to book you for, I was going to have about 50 people in my garage. Uh, what are we looking at? What are we looking at for a DJ of your caliber,
Price wise, or like what are
price
you
wise?
price wise? So I do everything in packages right now. So I think
Okay.
for that I would probably just recommend the bottom tier package. Not because your party is going to be bottom tier, but because it's going to fulfill your needs. You're going to get 5 hours of music. You're going to get sound system. It's my base package is gonna. I'm still gonna look like a professional DJ. I'm not gonna skimp on looking like a DJ. However, I'm just not gonna it you're not going to bring as much gear. You don't need as much,
Hmm.
like I might not bring wireless mics. I might not I'm not going to bring all the lights out. We're not going to uplight your garage unless you want it. So I try to make sure that I really am in tune with you. And then so I'll show the person packages and say, hey, like where do you think you are on here? But it wasn't always like that. I used to do a lot more negotiating, kind of like trying to figure out what the person wants. But I'm finding and actually, that's Joe that helped me realize that just put it in packages, man.
Hmm.
People just want to see what they're gonna get, and then decide based on what they think they need. You can always change it later.
Okay, let's talk about it. If you don't mind,
Hmm.
can you talk about the packages that you offer and what comes with it?
Yeah. So my packages. Let me pull it up so I can accurately describe. Now, I want to say this is June 2020. Prices are going to change, maybe, depending on, what happens after coronavirus. So if you're listening to this in 2025, don't expect to get the same quote as 2020. Let me see.
Probably be using a different currency in 2025, the
Yeah,
way things
exactly.
are going.
Bitcoin forever. Um, so my base package, if this thing will load, is called Good Times. The next package up is called Get Down, and the next one up is called Sore Feet. So in the Good Times package, you're gonna get 5 hours of music, illuminated facade, one wireless microphone. And I say that's better for like anything smaller, for anniversary parties. And for that, I charge about $450. The Get Down, which is the next package, is it's everything in the Good Times package, but you get additional hour of music if you need it. I start including uplights. You start getting some wash lights, so you get a bit of wash lighting, which is lighting that we put on the dance floor. It looks great when you take pictures. That's around $800. And then Sore Feet is everything in that plus a cocktail hour setup if you need. So this is really good for people who want to have a wedding ceremony in the same venue, but maybe it's like a couple rooms over. I can do a slideshow connection for audio. You get a total of 12 uplights. You get the works with the lights. You get wash lights. You get spotlights. You get fog machine. I can start being your MC. And that's a bit more expensive. I'm gonna hold off on saying that price, but
Hmm.
it's for what you get is a very good value. Um, you know, so it's I think that's really good for people that do want the works at their weddings or whatever their event is.
Okay, so you just named all those things, and thank you. Now I'm gonna, because when I, let me challenge you, not in a bad way.
Okay,
This is all
I like it.
peaceful and loving,
Yeah, devil's advocate. Devil's
because
advocate. Yeah.
I didn't know anything about DJs for real, other than what you see on TV, scratch and stuff like that, hip hop, that type of stuff. When it came to the business of DJs, before we got married, my wife and I, or my now wife and I, we were talking over things, and we weren't even going to have a reception on the real. People just showed us love. We had a lot of love, and we got a lot of stuff um, pro bono.
I like that.
Didn't have that much bread at the time, man. I was struggling.
Yeah.
Um, but I didn't realize how much a DJ costed. So when you hear a price like 450, 800 and up, why? 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 You're just playing music, right? You're just coming, you're going to bring your setup
I
and you're going to
like
play
it.
some music for us, right? Why do I have to pay 400? Why do I have to pay 800? You're
Yeah.
stand there and play the
Get an
music.
iPod. That's what I'm saying. Get an iPod. You know what I'm saying? Just turn that on. So yeah, no, that's a great question.
Mm-hmm.
I think the thing that people don't realize is when you're a good DJ, you're providing more than just music. So for one, you're providing music that everyone will be able to hear. I think let's not understate that. I think that's a baseline. That's worth $200. And I'm gonna try that. I'm gonna just throw out like dollar values. For instance, because I've seen somebody do their graduation party in a large venue hall with their home Bluetooth speaker. Um, you could not hear the music past 10 feet. So once you're out of 10 feet, you couldn't hear the music. And this chick swore up and down. Oh, it's loud. Oh, it's real loud. In my house, oh, it kills it. That's a completely different environment. Any home speakers are going to sound great in a 10 by 10 room. That they're made for that near field. PA speakers, what most DJs bring, are made for having not only a large room, but filling a large room with people in it. People act as sound absorbers. So every person, there's a mathematical equation where you can figure out the dimensions of the room and how many people, how much wattage of sound you're going to need, because everybody literally acts as a sound absorber. So if you have 100 same size room, you put in 5 people, you don't turn the volume at all, it's going to sound one way. If you have 50 people, it's going to sound a lot quieter because there's people in there. And that's saying if the people aren't even talking. So once the people talk, then it's a whole different thing. So I think that in itself is worth $200 in 2020. If you're not willing to spend $200 to have sound that's loud enough that everybody will hear, I hate to be harsh and be like, I really can't help you, but I definitely can't help you. Maybe some other DJ who's starting out will, but if he's not even going to charge $200, then I don't know that that his sound system's going to be that great. But you never know. He might have come up on a nice sound system,
Mm-hmm.
whatever. So let's say $200. Then you're paying me for my time. So I feel like what's minimum wage? $12. I'm going to be there for 5 hours. You got to pay me at least $60, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, that's $60. That's saying literally, hey, I'm going to give you money so that you can control the music. So now we're at $260 for everybody being able to hear, music being able to play. Now this is when you start to get into the part where it's a little bit less, like, I would say it's a little bit more subjective because it comes into skill. But most people, when they go to something, they expect that music won't stop for 20 seconds and then start again.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of when you get a DJ, you kind of expect that. I feel like that alone, that skill, not that it's such a skill, but being able to do that, to make sure that there's continuous music, that's enough work that you either had to prepare ahead and get a playlist and make sure it's playing on something that's going to keep the music continuous, and that might take you an hour, 2 hours. Or you can do it at the thing. And so now, instead of just play stuff, you now have somebody who's actually managing music. That in myself is worth a raise from $12 an hour to maybe $20 an hour. So now again, 5 hours. So now you're looking at $100. So you're now at $300. But let's say you're like, okay, I want people to actually have fun. And this is where it kind of starts to, you differentiate. A good DJ, somebody you're paying a lot for, they probably have experience. They know how to mix music. They know what songs go well together. They know what songs, don't break the flow. So now you are getting more into, just for their skill, paying them probably around like $50 an hour. So for five times five, what, 250. So now you're looking at $450 for, a round that. And I didn't expect that to line up with my base package, but that's pretty funny that it did. But so I feel like, and that's what you're getting. And again, that's just music. Some people want lights. Some
Yeah.
people want a show. So I feel like I'm talking a lot, but this is something I am passionate about because people do always ask that. They're like, well, I could just get a thing. And when I hear somebody say that, I'm like, you should. Yeah. Because if you're if you're even bringing it up, it means you don't really want a DJ and you don't really see the value of a DJ. And there's plenty of people who do. So I don't even need to try and, debate with that person. And maybe I've just been doing it long enough that I'm like, I don't got time for that. I don't want to do your gig if you don't even really want a DJ.
Yeah.
So, but I feel like there's a certain quality that just comes with, because for me, my pricing is based on the amount of time that I'm going to be there working, but I'm doing work well before your gig. If you have a wedding, there's so much back and forth communication. I really should be charging even more for weddings because I have, so much back and forth with brides changing their mind, being like, hey, this is the agenda at the last minute, saying, hey, can you be our MC? Can you do all this stuff? There's a lot of like expectation you have to manage. And yes, I do get it. People assume that you're just playing music, but you're really not. You're holding it down. You're turning the music down. You're controlling the crowd. You're making sure people can be heard. You're making sure music can be heard. You're bringing lights. You're driving there. You're loading heavy equipment. You're unloading heavy equipment. And of course, none of this accounts for how much that stuff costs. There's a large initial investment. All that considered, I don't think DJs are even that expensive because photography is way more expensive. There's a way bigger initial investment, and people feel that's way more important. Making sure you have photos, which it is, but I feel like DJing is reasonably priced. If somebody wants to charge $5,000 for an event, then I'd be like, well, you better be a Jazzy Jeff, because what the heck. But anything under, I feel like anything under $2,000 it's hard to. I'm sure a lot of people will be like, that's hard to justify, but I feel like anything under $2,000, it's like, the guy's got to work, he's got to eat. It's a lot of money to be made in a short span of time, yes, but there's so much more that goes into it that people will never see. Preparing music, changing laptops, I've spent probably 16 hours organizing my music library. And that benefits you every time you do it. You know what I'm saying? So, but I digress.
Thank you. I need you to break that down for those who don't know. That's the thing. Maybe if the right person listens who doesn't know that much about DJing. You're the second DJ I had. Josias was the first one. So I want people to understand the business of things. That's why I like having entrepreneurs as well as creative people.
Appreciate
Because
that.
It's one thing doing something you love. It's another thing putting a price on it.
Yeah.
So I need you to break that down because there's a lot of time spent behind the scenes, a lot of thought put into it, especially if you're doing something like a wedding, communication and all that stuff. So thank you. Like you said, you felt like you were talking a lot. I want you to talk a lot. You got to let these people know what it is. And I appreciate that. I think that was well put. You got to pay your DJs, y'all. You heard?
And tip us too, man. We like that. No, I just one thing I'll say too. I think it's just, I feel you really struck a chord with me when you're like, well, I could, that's astronomical, and I get it. I get it because money is tight. Money, but I feel like at the end of the day, like everybody's got to eat. So there is a baseline price that somebody has to pay for me to eat and to make it worth. So like, for instance, all said and done, if I charge you $450 for 8 hours of, for 5 hours playing, they might be like, oh, he's rolling it, that's almost $100 an hour. Mm-mm. Nobody's throwing parties on Tuesday nights. I have to make $500 an hour in really only within, what is that, like maybe 15 hours. There's only 15 like reasonable hours that you can work. That means that you work Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Mhm.
So you have to make 15 hours of work make up for a week of expenses. So I think if people started breaking it down like that, it would make a lot more sense. It's like, oh, I get it. So that, I mean, granted, that's if you're trying to do it full time.
Mhm.
Um, if you're not trying to do it full time, it's not like I'm not busy and
Yeah.
I'm stressed out and I still have to find time to prepare the music, make sure that your event is going to be as amazing. And that's why I feel like people who are willing to pay for good DJs, they understand because they go. There's certain people who I have clientele who they've hired me once. The next time they say, "Do you have free reign? You did such a good job." So all they know is they cut the check and they don't have to worry about it. They
Mhm.
literally they don't have to worry about anything. They can focus on something else. And I think it's less of a DJ problem and it's more a value of business problem. And I think there's people that are like that in life. Like something stresses them out, they'd rather delegate. And I feel like it's just a form of delegation. You have to pay somebody for it, but you're giving them a task and saying, this is a function that I need. So please do it for me. And you do it well. So I'm willing to give you more money because I know I won't have to worry about it at all.
Mhm. It. Thank you. And this is the thing. Like you said something. You don't do this full time. You're doing this interview right after work. He came to do this interview right after work, after his, his secular job. And I didn't know. I don't know what time people get off. I said, hey, how about 5 o'clock? We started this at 5, a little after 5. He, cool. Okay. I appreciate it. Woo, woo, woo. You didn't cancel. We set this up like a week ago. A lot of things happen in a week. There's been interviews I had to reschedule and stuff.
This
So,
was a rough week too.
you see what I mean? Like you never know what'll happen in the span of a week. And then I send him some information about the Zoom to get on, and he's like, "All right, I'll be there in about 5. I'm just finishing up with work." I didn't know you was at work. We could have did this at 6 or 7. You know what I mean? But the thing is, you have a life. You have other stuff that you have to do. You know what I'm saying? You got lounge radio coming up on Sunday. You got to communicate with his name Kendall.
Yeah.
You have to communicate with Kendall and things like that. Speaking of lounge radio, what's lounge radio? What is this lounge radio I'm talking about?
So Lounge and Radio is a radio show that I decided to start during this Corona time because we all looking for stuff to do. But I can't lie, I'm tired of Zoom game nights and I'm tired of Zoom dance parties because I don't want to be sitting here dancing by myself. But there's this beautiful, probably 30 minutes at parties when you DJ, where the first people who started eating or have now finished eating. They're waiting for other people to finish eating, and dancing's not ready to start yet. You can see it in their faces. They're not ready. They want to dance, but they're not ready, and you got to get them there. It's your job to. It's like dancing foreplay. So it's like your job to kind of get them in the mood to dance, get them in the mood to have the time of their lives. And the music you play during that 30 minutes is different. It's like semi dance, semi chill. And lounge and radio basically tries to bring that to people every other Sunday. So kind of that vibe where it's just like, oh, this is my jam, but just kind of a little sway, a little groove. I mean, if you want to dance, go ahead. We're not stopping anybody, but at the same time, the goal is to understand what lounging is to different people, because we do have a segment in the middle of the show where we bring on guests and we ask them to feature a song, one of their favorite lounging songs. We play a part of the song. We ask them, why they like that song, why it's lounging to them, and we get great answers. People talk about it's when you're in the car, late night drives, when you're at home cleaning, and you just need something to vibe to. That's lounging, and so I feel like trying to create that atmosphere of just people that are just kind of here to just listen to new music, have a good time. It's fun. We start with a DJ set, an hour-long DJ set we do the Pass the Aux, where we, have crowd interaction. Then we have another DJ set. So this week we actually have Joe's gonna DJ coming up, and another local to the DMV, K the One. So it's gonna be a nice time.
Okay. Yeah, I was a part of the bulk of your last one. Now, the first one you did, I was there for a little bit. See, the weekends, like me and my wife would like watch a movie on Sunday, like we'll like
Yeah.
order food and watch a movie. So the first one, I was there for like the first half an hour. Um, Probably missed the next two or something like that. But
Mhm.
last week, I'm like, okay, like I'm in here, and I wanted to be a part of the bulk of it just so I can absorb everything. And it was a good time. That's the thing. Like it's fun. Like you got the music playing, you got people. I saw some people dancing. Some girl had like, I think, some rodents. She had like her
Yeah,
pet
we
rodents.
could
Like
talk about it. Talk about it.
I'm like, yo, this girl got some rats. I'm not trying to offend when I say rats, but if I see a rodent, it's a hamster, gerbil, or a rat. So
These were actual rats, though. That's the difference.
okay. Oh, okay.
These
They were
mice. They were mice. Rats. It's a
rat. They,
rat.
they were they
It's a
were rat.
rat.
She had these little rats, and she's holding them up holding them up to the camera. Not against. That sounds bad, but like people were having a good time, and I remember the one guy.
Oh
He's talking
no.
about like I love Janae Aiko or something like that.
Yeah, man. He was almost going on too long. I was like, all right, dog. Hey, there's people watching, dog. Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, I was laughing at that, but to sum it up, it's a good time. You listen to feel good music, different types of music. So yeah, if you can join Lounge Radio.
Yeah, and if you need to join that, go check out my Instagram. It's at Sound Curators. Uh, Curators, Curators. Y'all gonna see how I'm looking real hard to figure it out. Um, but yeah, Sound Curators on Instagram. It's a good time. The information's in that link. Thank you. I appreciate that you enjoyed it too, because I have fun putting it on, and I'm really excited to not be doing a DJ set this go round. So
To not be doing a set.
yeah, I just want to listen and and taking the sounds, taking the vibes.
Yeah, yeah, we had fun. Yeah, so closing out, anything I missed, any shout outs, anything that you just want to say?
Man, shout out to all the DJ homies. I'll give a shout out to DJ Too Much. If anybody's listening, they might know her. She's another big witness DJ. She actually she was the one who kind of put me on as a DJ. She was there to kind of guide me through the first steps. Used to use her contract. Kind of told me how to rock a crowd. It was like, this is what you need to look for when you're reading a crowd. This is how to know when to cut the song. And there's a lot learned from her, so I appreciate that. Always got to give her a shout out. Shout out to Joe, because I know he shouted me out on his episode. So just which hopefully we can just reciprocate the love. We just, because I'm getting to the point, I'm not even that old, but like I love DJing, but like I'm not gonna be able to do it forever. So I feel like I'm trying to just train the next generation, get some people in there, get them the skills, because when I go to a party, I want it to be good.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of trying to get all the bookings, I'm gonna try to make other good DJs. That way, I can enjoy myself too.
Mm-hmm.
But no, thank you for having me on, man. Appreciate it. This was pretty fun.
Yeah, I had a good time. Thank you for coming on. And this is the thing, for anyone listening, I don't know Jeff that well. I don't know Jeff. So when I have someone who I don't know that well agree to do the show, I have them as a cancellation risk because
That's
that's
smart. You smart.
it's a cancellation risk. And some people I know, they are a cancellation risk. I'll be texting, I'll be like, I got an interview, but they might flake. So thank you for sticking to this, because it's like, I don't know this dude, I don't really watch his stuff. I'm gonna come up with something to not be a part of it. So thank you for
I
sticking to your
appreciate that,
stuff.
man.
And me saying that isn't a dig at anyone. No one has like straight up dissed me and stuff like that, but behind the scenes, there's something called a cancellation risk.
Yeah.
So oh,
That's real. That's real.
last thing. Where did the Times come from? That was one of my first questions. Where did that
Oh,
name come from? And I never got to ask it. I just slipped my mind.
no worries. Yeah, the times. So my like first DJ name was like DJ Zebra. It was whack. Then my sister came up with DJ F, which is, play on my name, DJEFF. I was like,
Mm.
oh, that's so cool. So that's why I said a lot of people a lot of people who know me when I first started, like 14 to like 21 or 20 maybe, was DJ F. But then I forget what happened. I think I was like thinking about Grandmaster Flash and just like all those DJs from like the 70s,
Mm-hmm.
late 70s, early 80s. I was like, yo, they didn't even have DJ in their name. And I was like, I kind of like that. Just like you don't even say DJ. Like it's just like you're something else. You're persona. So like I felt like I just wanted something that embodied like just kind of everything, and it's had a little ring to it, and it sounded like you could see it on a billboard or people could say it easy. So it was tough, but I can't remember when, but I just said like the times, because I think it sounded like the times of your life, the time of your life or something. And I was just like the times. And I was just like, yo, remember the times we had?
Mm.
So I was just kind of like, you know what? I think that would work. So I just kind of stuck with it. It's hard to get people to not say DJ the times.
Yeah.
But when they do, I love it. It just sounds like the times. It's like
Mm-hmm.
that's right. You're having the time of your life. I hope to give you the time of your life.
Yeah, okay, that explains it. And you even corrected me when we did the Josias episode, and I'm like, "What's your name?" You're in the back on the couch. I didn't even have internet back then. I got internet now, but you see, it's not working out
Big
that well.
things, big things.
It's ghetto. Yeah, yeah. I didn't have half the stuff I have now back when you were here.
You didn't have that mic, man. You looking good with the mic and the headphones,
Thank,
bro.
thank you,
You look
man.
like a radio show out here, man. That's why I had to come with the. I was like, oh, I
Yeah,
gotta get my mic.
he came
Shoot.
correct. Yeah, I stepped my game up. But I'm like, is it DJ the Times? He's like, the Times. I'm like, okay, the Times.
I know, my
Whatever.
bad. Because yeah,
No, let them know. It's like somebody's trying to start calling you Jeffy. Hey Jeffy, my name is Jeff, bro. Don't call me. You know what
I
I
like
mean?
that. I like that.
So
I'm gonna use
I'm
that.
gonna respect your name, the Times.
Appreciate that, man. I really do.
But all right, the Times on the Cool Hand Podcast. This is the Cool Hand Podcast. Thank you once again. Uh, it is what it is. Cool Hand Podcast, something you got to deal with. Easy.
Something you gotta deal with.